Hi, everybody. Gloria Moraga here, political woman. It's Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. So much going on. But I thought that I would just focus down and post the early days, Trump Epstein. And this is the timeline. I'm Gloria Moraga, Political Woman Podcast. You just stop here, take a moment and say, please subscribe to my channels. Please follow me here and on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks. So I've done a timeline just for the year 2025, and it was sketchy. I mean, it wasn't every little freaking thing that's happened, and every day something else happens. And I was just watching Nicole Wallace, and it's like, okay, people have forgotten about this already because there's so much other stuff that he's throwing at the media, and he does it on purpose. He does it on purpose so that we'll forget what he's most concerned about, and this is what he's most concerned about. So I'm going to take us back, and I'm getting a lot of information from the New York Times and other articles, and I will absolutely quote who I'm getting it from as I go along. So starting in the 1980s to the early 2000s, Trump and Epstein were friendly. Trump and Epstein were close. They hung around a lot. They partied a lot. All of the horrible hairdos and the outfits from the 1980s are there in some of the photos that we have of Trump and Epstein. And now, according to Trump, he and Epstein were friends for more than a decade, beginning in the 80s. And here's a quote. "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific a guy," Trump told New York Magazine in 2002. So this is a quote. "He's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it. Jeffrey enjoys his social life." In 1992, this is a quote, Trump threw a raucous party with NFL cheerleaders at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. NBC footage shows pictures, videos of the party of Trump socializing with Epstein. That's in 92. 1997, Trump and Epstein attend a Victoria's Secret Angels party together in New York. 1993 to 1997, Trump flies on Epstein's private jet 7 times. So 93 to 97, 7 times on that jet. During the time they were friends, Trump's name appeared 7 times on the flight logs. And if they release the files, this is all going to be in there. But, you know, I'm thinking they're never going to release the files as long as Trump's alive. And I only say as long as he's alive because he's getting old. And as I used to tell my ex-husband, and he hated it when I said it, we're all going to die. So, yeah, as long as Trump is alive, I think they're going to hide these files. So, you know, we're whistling in the wind when we think that they're going to release them. So back to the timeline. Trump flew on Mr. Epstein's jets 4 times in 1993, once in 1994, once in 1995, and once in 1997, according to flight logs released as evidence in Maxwell's trial. Maxwell, my last podcast, or one just recently, was about her and all her crimes, all her horrible, horrific crimes against young women. She is now eligible for work release. A convicted sex offender, it's unheard of, eligible for work freaking release. What is she going to do? This woman who's never had a job. She never had a job. Her dad was a millionaire. You know, she grew up on yachts. She went from her daddy taking care of her to her and Epstein and her trafficking young girls for him and getting paid all kinds of money by him and by these nasty men. 2000, Mar-a-Lago plays a role in the Epstein case. Mar-a-Lago, Trump's private club, played a key role in allegations against Epstein and Maxwell. Virginia Guthrie, a victim of Epstein's sex trafficking ring, said she was, quote, passed around like a platter of fruit as a teenager to rich and powerful predators, and she was recruited into Mr. Epstein's employment while at Mar-a-Lago, according to her account. And then later, and I'll get to that in a minute, Trump admitted that one of the reasons he and Epstein broke up was because he was stealing his staff. And it may have been Virginia Guthrie and others. 2004, Trump and Epstein have a falling out over a property fight. Now, this was reported earlier, but then later Trump has kind of poo-pooed that and said, oh no, it wasn't that. It was that he was stealing my stuff. But I'll just read. Quote, 2 years after Trump called Epstein a terrific guy, the two men became rivals over an oceanfront Palm Beach mansion that had fallen into foreclosure. In a power struggle detailed by the Washington Post, Trump ultimately outbid Epstein for the property. And that, some say, was why Epstein stopped being friends with Trump. So Epstein broke up. Epstein ended the bromance. Not long after the property auction, police in Palm Beach fielded a tip that young women had been observed going in and out of Epstein's home. So Epstein stopped talking to Trump. Trump tattled on him and called the police, which is good. I mean, let's lock up all the sex offenders. All right, back to the timeline. A few months after that, it's March 2005, and police receive a complaint from a woman who said her teenage stepdaughter had been paid by Epstein to give him a massage while she was undressed. And that is according to a police report. That led to an investigation that later identified at least a dozen victims. Police began investigating in earnest after the family of a 14-year-old girl, 14 years old, reported she was also molested at the mansion. And then multiple underage girls, many of them high school students, would later tell police Epstein hired them to give sexual massages. 2006, Palm Beach police officials signed paperwork to charge Epstein with multiple counts of unlawful sex with a minor. But the county's top prosecutor, State Attorney Barry Krishker, takes the unusual step of sending the case to a grand jury. July 2006, Epstein is arrested after a grand jury indicts him on a single count, one count, of soliciting prostitution. The relatively minor charge draws almost immediate attention from critics, including Palm Beach police leaders who assail the attorney, Barry Krishker, whatever his name is, publicly, and accuse him of giving Epstein special treatment. So that is when the FBI begins an investigation. So then 2007, federal prosecutors prepare an indictment against Epstein. But for a year, Epstein's lawyers engage in talks with the U.S. attorney in Miami, Alexander Acosta, about a plea bargain that would allow Epstein to avoid federal prosecution. Epstein's lawyers decry his accusers as unreliable witnesses. They're children! Sorry, I don't mean to yell. June 2008, Epstein pleads guilty to state charges, one count of soliciting prostitution and one count of soliciting prostitution from someone under the age of 18. He is sentenced to 18 months in jail. Under a secret agreement, the U.S. Attorney's Office agrees not to prosecute Epstein for federal crimes. Epstein serves most of his sentence in a work release program. Now, that's what they're promising to give Maxwell. That allows him to leave jail during the day to go to his office. Then he returns at night. July 2009, Epstein is released from jail. For the next decade, multiple women who say they were Epstein's victims wage a legal fight to get his federal non-prosecution agreement voided and to hold him and others liable for abuse. One of Epstein's accusers, Virginia Guthrie, says in her lawsuits that starting when she was 17, Epstein and his girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, set up sexual encounters with royalty, politicians, academics, businessmen, and other rich and powerful men, including Britain's Prince Andrew. Now, all of those men deny the allegations. November 2018, the Miami Herald revisits the handling of the Epstein case in a series of stories focusing on the role of Acosta, that scumbag, who by this point is President Trump's labor secretary. He helped arrange that unusual plea deal. The coverage renews public interest in the case. July 6, 2019, Epstein is arrested on federal sex trafficking charges after federal prosecutors in New York conclude they aren't bound by the terms of the earlier non-prosecution deal. Days later, Acosta resigns as labor secretary, and public outrage over his role in the initial investigation. That scumbag. And you know, the current Republicans in the House are not subpoenaing him. They're concentrating on Bill Clinton, but they're not subpoenaing this dude. And yeah, I say, go after Bill. Go after him. Go after all of them. But this guy needs to be included. August 10th, 2019. Guards find Epstein dead in his cell at a federal jail in New York City. Investigators conclude he killed himself. And they lyingly released video of his outside his cell, and it wasn't video from outside Epstein's cell. It was another area altogether. So they're lying about that as well. July 2nd, 2020, federal prosecutors in New York charged Ghislaine Maxwell with sex crimes, saying she helped recruit the underage girls that Epstein sexually abused, and then they passed along to various high-ranking men and sometimes participated in the abuse herself. And some of the girls have said on the record during interviews she was worse than him, threatening and sexually abusing them. December 30th, 2021, after a month-long trial, the jury convicts Maxwell multiple charges, including sex trafficking, conspiracy, and transportation of a minor for illegal sexual activity. June 28th, 2022, Maxwell sentenced to 20 years in prison, and now they've moved her to the puppy training prison. January 2024, public interest in the Epstein case surges after a judge unseals thousands of pages of court records in a civil lawsuit involving one of the victims. But almost all of that information was already public, and the days-long document dump proves disappointing to people who hoped it would spill new secrets about wrongdoing by the rich and the powerful. But that document dump fuels demands for even more records to be made public. 2024, Trump, who was in office when Epstein was arrested and died, suggests during the presidential campaign that he would seek to open the government's Epstein files. February 2025, and I've covered this in my other timeline, Attorney General Pam Bondi suggests on Fox Not a News channel that an Epstein client list is sitting on her desk. The Justice Department distributes binders marked declassified to far-right influencers at the White House, but they realize they were duped. It quickly becomes clear much of the information had already been in the public domain. The Justice Department says Epstein didn't maintain a client list. This is from July 7th, 2025. And it won't make any more files related to the sex trafficking investigation public. And then I cover all the rest of this in my 2025 video, so take a look at that if you want to watch that. But yeah, someone said, well, there's not necessarily a client list. I'm telling you right now, when whoever has these files in the Justice Department got a hold of it, they put a PDF together with all the list of all the men who are Epstein's clients and Maxwell's clients. There is a list. It may not be an official list, but someone put together all the names of these scumbags. And that's what we want, and that's what we need, and that's what the victims, the survivors, deserve. And that's what this is all about. And this dude, this orange dude, whose dementia is increasing daily, doesn't want this out. And why? Why is he so hell-bent on not releasing this stuff? He's throwing everything at us. Everything. It's not martial law officially in Washington, but troops on the streets in Washington, D.C. when crime is down. You know, and on and on and on. We could just go through the list. Meeting with Putin. I'm going to have that video coming up next. It's just amazing. So yes, I get comments on my videos when I do an Epstein video. It's like, Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. It's like, because it's important. Because it's important to hold these men accountable. Whoever it is. Whoever it is, whoever did this, they deserve to be brought to justice for the victims. I'm Gloria Moraga, political woman. That's the timeline. Trump, Epstein, from the early days up to 2025. Please subscribe. Please follow me. I need your support, want your support. We've got to gear up. We're gearing up for 2026. Please subscribe. I'm Gloria Moraga, political woman.